Oh, I'm ready to go whenever you want.
Fantastic. I'm just gonna give the land acknowledgement and then I'll introduce you.
Give it one more second so we don't have like double audio.
Yeah.
Okay. Second. Great. You want to start with the welcome?
Yeah, we can just have that up until Sean.
Okay.
If Sean slides up. Yes.
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. The floor is yours.
All right. All right, hello everyone. There are some extra seats in the back if you don't have one. Please grab some food and make sure to sit down. And it is my great honor to welcome you all to AS1 2025. Before we begin, we ask you to join us in acknowledging the Chumash peoples, their elders, both past and present, as well as their future generations. We would like to take this opportunity for us all to reflect on how the work we do here today in our search for knowledge, our opportunities to teach, and every day in our chosen fields affects these lands and the people of these lands that we work with and research to protect. We acknowledge that this university system was founded upon exclusions and erasures of many Indigenous peoples, including those whose lands this institution is located, the villages and unceded lands of the Chumash people. This UCSB administration has failed to faithfully and dutifully support the traditional custodians of these lands, the Chumash people and Indigenous students, through their continued support of Mauna Kea. As we work together to prevent further damage to these lands and waters that support not only our livelihoods, recreation, lifestyles, research, and education, we remember that the Chumash peoples of this area have been separated from these lands, unable to maintain the livelihoods as they should, unable to recreate traditionally, unable to maintain their traditional lifeways freely, and unable to have the same access to their lands that we are provided, to do their own traditional research and educate their future generations. The Chumash people are comprised of the descendants of Indigenous peoples removed from their island of origin, Limu, Anyapak, Wima, and Tucson, subjugated by 5 missions during Spanish colonization of the Central Coast, from Malibu to Morro Bay and inland to Bakersfield. The villages upon which this university sits were a safe haven for maritime travelers, a place alive with trading, hospitality, and abundance, a place where knowledge of and from the surrounding areas far and wide was shared with all people of this place and its many visitors, a traditional place of sharing knowledge and education, a tradition this university has an obligation to remember. Many of the projects and research conducted by this university are within the traditional territory of the Chumash peoples and/or affect other Indigenous peoples in their territories. And in spite of all of this, each tribe, council, clan, and band is working diligently to restore and continue their traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from this historical trauma. The damage that has been done and continues to be done by not sharing the true history and legacy in this place and others, and by the exploitation of the natural cultural resources of these areas, can never be erased. There's no mitigation or research project that can make their communities whole again. But we can do better. As educators, friends, and allies, together we can acknowledge the mistakes and atrocities of the past and move forward in remembrance and relationship with their local Chumash people and other Indigenous peoples to facilitate their process of healing by making sure that our processes here make room for their Chumash and Indigenous voices to be heard, their traditional ecological knowledge of these territories to be listened to, and their peoples to be a part of the healing of these lands and waters as well as themselves. This acknowledgement, though brief and in no way complete, demonstrates a commitment by this institution and their educators to begin the process of creating a relationship with the local Chumash and Indigenous communities and work to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. We come together today to acknowledge, stand up for, and give voice to the unceded lands and waters of the Chumash and all their peoples. Thank you all for listening to this land acknowledgement. Now, it is my honor to introduce for the first time Chancellor Dennis Asanis, the 6th Chancellor of UC Santa Barbara. Before coming to UCSB, Dr. Asanis served as president of the University of Delaware from 2016 to 2025. He was previously provost and senior vice president for academic affairs at Stony Brook University and vice president for Brookhaven National Laboratory Affairs. Earlier in his career, he held faculty and research positions at the University of Michigan and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Chancellor Asanis is an elected member of the National Academy of Engineering and a world-renowned expert in clean energy and power systems. His research has led to significant advances in fuel economy and emissions reductions in transportation. He has served on the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology and on the National Commission on Innovation and Competitiveness Frontiers. Born in Athens, Greece, Chancellor Asanis earned his bachelor's degree in marine engineering from Newcastle University. At MIT, he completed 3 master's degrees in naval architecture and marine engineering, mechanical engineering, and management, as well as a PhD in power and propulsion. In 2025, he was awarded an honorary Doctor of Human Letters by the University of Delaware, and in 2023 received Newcastle University's Alumni Impact Award. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chancellor Dennis Asanis.
So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for organizing this wonderful retreat as one. And let's give a hand to all the organizers and all the participants. So my wife Eleni, who is right here, and myself are delighted to be here. And I want to invite actually Eleni so I can introduce her to all of you, because I'm sure she will interact a lot with everyone in the community. And then I'll say a few more words. Here's Eleni.
Hello, everybody. It's great to actually see you, meet you for the first time. And I just have to reiterate what Dennis said. We're delighted to be at Santa Barbara. It's a wonderful place. We came here because of the excellence that Dennis looked for, and he felt it was the right place to transform as a new adventure and challenge. And being both from Greece, loving water and sunshine, what best could it be? Combines all wonderful things. So I'm a business major. We have 2 sons, 2 grandkids. The mid-30s are sons. Our grandson is 4 years old, our granddaughter 1 year old. Our other son is also a professor, so it runs the family, and we are very proud of them. Hopefully they'll come and visit. But yesterday we were at the move-in, helping the students move in the new class of freshmen, and you'll be delighted to have them join you. All of them, they were wonderful students. They're wonderful people, wonderful persons. And we enjoyed the talking and with each one of them why they're coming here and why they picked the Santa Barbara. And before I pass to Dennis, I have to say that, as you know, we're both from Greece, as I said before, but we came and started here as students. So we can relate with many of you what it means to be in a new place and try to really find your space. Have a wonderful year, all of you, and turn it back to Dennis.
Thank you, Eleni. So I'll first say that we're here because we believe in you, and we believe that we can do amazing things together. people at our table, the wonderful group that we had lunch with, privilege really, asked, so what made you come to Santa Barbara? And, the answer is simple. The search committee, when they interviewed a lot of great people, it was my turn, they asked me, do you have any questions to ask us? I said, yes, I have only one. And the question I asked is, do you want to be like Berkeley and UCLA, or are you happy where you are? And then it was music to my ears. I said, we want to be better than UCLA and Berkeley. I said, yes, I'm game. So, I think we have such an amazing possibility here at UC Santa Barbara because of all of you. We can do wonderful things together. I have to say that we do live in very difficult times. There's no kidding about it. Our values are being challenged every day. What we stand for in higher education is being challenged. But in spite of all that, I believe that we can stand tall, and together we have an opportunity to turn all these challenges into opportunities and all aspire for a better future, because that's what it is. It's about you and about the future that you can bring to society and change. And I do think that, one thing will never change: our commitment to student success. We are here because of you, as I said at the beginning. We want to see you successful, and successful means in every aspect, not just the academic. I mean, certainly, I have a number of degrees. You heard about them. Thank you. I tend to forget, but it wasn't easy. I mean, I managed to get 4 graduate degrees at MIT in 5 years. That included a PhD. That's not very easy. And I managed to do it because I came from a family that I'm first generation, Elaine is first generation. So I did all on scholarships. So I do believe in student success and affordability and access and inclusive excellence. We need to continue to provide all those things, and certainly we'll work very hard. But student success goes beyond the classroom. It's all about your student life and your growth and your development as human beings, or your basic needs that you have, mental health, wellness. We had a great conversation with Lian a few days ago. We have very similar objectives for you. I mean, it's sad to see that we have people who are food insecure these days. They don't have a place to live. They don't have clothes to wear and go to an interview, all those kinds of things. So I think we've got some work to do, and I know we can do a lot of this together. The other thing that I want to say is doing the same thing again and again is not going to produce any different answers. We need to think out of the box. We need to think boldly. We need to innovate. We need to believe in ourselves. You don't catch up with your peers if you don't think out of the box. And to be honest, if you stand still these days, you're falling behind. We all know that. And, there are some other great campuses in the UC system that were as good as we are. And now, sad to say, they're just as good as we are, or better. And I think we need to really work all together to improve. And we always need to aspire for a better future. The other thing that's very important is we need all of you. Each one of you brings different values, perspectives, diverse backgrounds, ideas. We need each and every one of you. And I think that's very important. The community becomes stronger if we have this diversity of perspectives and opinions, and all the voices need to be heard. At the same time, we all have the same common beliefs, and in the sense, as I said before, the success of yourselves and transforming society and making it a better place. So we need to come together as one, as the retreat says, and basically try to find what unite us versus what divide us. I think that's the problem that we have these years now in our country, that we oftentimes become so polarized and we cannot talk, and have civilized conversations. Elaine and I feel very strongly about civil discourse and civic engagement. And once again, to have the ability to honor free speech and academic freedom in a campus like ours is amazing. But we need to do it in a civilized way. We need to demonstrate peacefully. We need to respect each other. We need to be able to treasure the fact that we are one community, and we have more that unite us than divide us. And I think that's very, very important. I also wanted to say that as we think about the future, we've got to think more strategically about what that future is. We have to develop a strategic plan. You know, the last time our campus was actually working with strategic plan was decades ago. And that can't be it. So I'm going to engage the community to develop a strategic plan that reflects our vision and shared aspirations. And obviously your voices are going to be very important in developing that plan. We want to hear what's important to you. As I said, we're here for you. I mean, if it was just about my vision, I could write it up in a weekend. I don't even need to write it up. I've got it here. But the challenge is not that. The challenge is to make this a shared vision and to make sure that we bring your perspectives and your inputs into it. And that's how it's going to become stronger. So we love to hear your thoughts and your ideas, and especially, as I said at the very beginning, at this difficult time, you know, our core values will never change. You know, how we live out our values, perhaps in the moment may need to be adjusted, but, you know, we are not going to fundamentally change what we want to do. And more importantly, we're going to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 25 years. So we've got to work on developing a strategic plan and also a plan for our long-range development of our campus, new dorms, new facilities. How many of you have found it hard to find housing here? Yeah, that includes me and Eleni, you know, so just so that you know, it's not easy. It's expensive, and you know, it's always good quality. So we got to work closer together with our communities, you know, Naivin, Goleta, every other place. Incidentally, last night the two of us, you know, went out to IV just to check it out, and we heard these horror stories that it's crazy and this and that. We actually thought, compared to where we've been, you know, I won't say more, you know, it was pretty civilized, and it's good. You know, I mean, I think you need to work hard and party hard at the right time. And I want to emphasize, in a civilized way, always in a civilized way, respectful, respect each other. I also want to mention that, you know, being a gaucho is, again, much more than being in the same area, in the same campus, and going to the same class in the same lab. It's all about all the experiences that you co-create. And I'm really delighted that all of you are part of the leadership of the student groups. You play a very important role. I have to tell you now, in my own academic journey, you asked me that question. I never thought I would be an academic leader. I was very happy to be a professor. You know, I was a star in my research. I was doing great things, you know, saving the world, make it cleaner. I mean, that's what I knew how to do best, you know, reducing the emissions from cars by 100 times and this and that, make it greener, more sustainable. That's wonderful. So I was sitting in my office one day and somebody approached me and they said, like, hey, we're looking for a department chair. And I said, well, we have a pretty good department here in mechanical engineering at Michigan. We're ranked number 5 in the country, you know. And I said, like, you must have some better people than me. And they said, well, we want you to consider it. We have 5 candidates from other universities, but we'd like you to consider it. And as an internal candidate, it's low risk. Well, the rest is history. You know, I got involved into leadership and service. And I emphasize leadership is about service, wanting to sacrifice some of what you do. Like for me, not to be able to be a great teacher in the classroom, interact with students and do my own research and now lead others to do it. Initially, it felt like a big sacrifice, but you realize the same thing yourselves. You know, anytime you take to do leadership and serve your organizations, it's time you don't have to study your biology or whatever else is your favorite class. But I have to say that when I thought about it later, it changed our lives, both me and Eleni. You know, we've been partners in our journey and done everything together. I always give her credit for 51% of my accomplishments. You know, that's keeps it peaceful. You know, we don't ever have to worry about it, you know. So when, you know, credit, there's plenty to go everywhere. But my point is, you know, serving others and doing things with others, your impact increases manifold. I mean, think about the impact I could have in my lab, in, you know, whatever, my own little environment, working with my 5 students. Okay, fine. But think about the impact I can have working with all of you. It's 150 times bigger immediately. And think about working with 25,000 people in our community and the staff and everybody else. So, you know, the sky is the limit when you do that. And so I want you to really think about serving others That's what leadership is all about. And to do it with respect and dignity, and always think about values, and that people are different, and you've got to listen very carefully. It can't be just what you want to do. A good leader is not a leader. It's like, we shall do this. You've got to listen to others and appreciate their perspectives, and work together to make the world a better place. So thank you so much for everything that you do. I think Leanne and all the executive officers, by the way, each one of you deserve a lot of credit for wanting to sacrifice and work hard throughout the year. I look forward to interacting with you, and Elaine, I hope that we are going to be able to develop some great friendships and partnerships with all of you in the community, and also that we'll have a student advisory council that somehow will create, that will learn from you what's in your minds. And again, see how we can make this place even better than it is, although it's terrific already. So go Gauchos!
Thank you so much, Kim, for the amazing honor. We just have a small gift for you with some AS goodies.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
A Storky for you.
Oh, it's Storky. Thank you so much. And have a great summer.
Alrighty, next it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Michael M. Miller, Interim Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs at UCSB. Vice Chancellor Miller comes to his role after 19 years of dedicated service in student enrollment, success, and support at UCSB. As Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Enrollment and Success, he oversees 13 units that deliver essential enrollment services and programs, including financial aid, housing, academic support, and career services. Vice Chancellor Miller has pioneered initiatives that strengthen equity and student well-being. In his previous role as Director of Financial Aid, he designed the Promise Scholars Program, the UCSB Financial Crisis Response Team, and the UCSB Reentry Program. Vice Chancellor Miller received his Doctorate of Education in Educational Leadership and Administration from Fielding Graduate University. His leadership embodies compassion, collaboration, and a deep commitment to ensuring every student is supported in achieving academic success and personal growth. Please join me in welcoming Interim Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Mike Miller.
Thank you, Leanne, and thank you all for allowing me to be here this morning. It's great to see all of you. Welcome back to campus. As Leanne said, I've been on campus for about 23 years now, and I have to say that this is the most excited that I have been from the start of an academic year in a really, really long time. I think having our new Chancellor Sanas, and his wonderful wife Elaine here to lead this amazing institution, I think is going to bring a renewed energy, fresh ideas, and just a lot of really positive change. So I am really, really looking forward to this year, working with all of you as student leaders. And as Leanne also mentioned, a lot of my work is really, the foundation of my work is really around student access and support. And so all of our students that are able to get to UCSB, I really want to make sure that you're able to be here, to be successful, getting through your time here at UCSB with as little debt as possible, with a valuable degree. I think those are the kind of the key aspects of my job that I really love the most. In terms of our work in student affairs, I did just want to point out, I think most of you know what student affairs entails, but really we are responsible for all of your services, from pre-college programs all the way to career services and everything in between. And so I think there's a lot of really good opportunity for us to initiate some positive change. I've met with Leanne a couple of times already this summer, and we have standing meetings on the calendar. Looking forward to working with the other execs and really coming together at a crucial time, like our chancellor said. This is a really pivotal time for higher education. Our values are under attack, and so I think it's more important than ever before that our faculty, that our staff, and our students, and our alums and community members all come together to really protect those values and work together. And I look forward to being the champion of pulling people together to have those critical conversations. I did just want to recognize a couple of other leaders on, in the Division of Student Affairs that are here. Dean Joaquin, Joaquin Becerra, our Dean of Students. Joaquin, stand up and show hands. And also our Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Life, Suzanne Perkin. So both Dean Joaquin and Suzanne are amazing champions for students. They really care. They're going to be available. Yeah, that's my promise to you all is we are going to be available. We're going to be present, and we're going to be involved in all of the conversations that you all want to have during this academic year. And then I think you're going to hear from Sean, so I won't introduce Sean, but Sean Lieberman, I really want to extend a huge thank you to Sean for his work as interim executive director of Associated Students. That's all part of the kind of our refreshed energy heading into what I think is going to be an amazing year. So again, thank you for allowing me to come and join you this morning and just say hello, and that's a beautiful day, and good luck with AS1. That sounds like you're going to have a really productive couple of days. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mike, Joaquin, and Suzanne for being here. We also just have some goodie bags for you all too. I really strongly encourage you all to introduce yourself to those three. They will be really great resources for you this year. So now I'm very excited to introduce to you our Interim Executive Director of Associated Students, Sean Lieberman. Sean has been with Associated Students since 2001, where he started in our IT department. In addition to his responsibilities as Interim Executive Director, he also serves as Associate Director of Technology and Strategic Communications, overseeing media equipment checkout, graphic design, desktop support, elections, and much more. Sean is also a UCSB alum with a degree in film studies. So let's please give a very warm welcome to Sean.
Thank you, Leanne. Those that know me know I have to go multimedia. Okay. Thank you so much. So welcome to AS1. This is my first, obviously, as your interim executive director, which also means it's the first time I've had to speak in front of all of you. I'm really looking forward to these next 2 days of learning, collaborating, and navigating the lead up to the new academic year. And given what I know about many of you and have seen already, I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty amazing one. So my role as staff is to guide my team, which is AS professional staff, which you'll see many around here today, to support all of you in your work. Speaking of all of you, I have a nice visual I wanted to put up on. So this is all of our boards and committees and units and services, and it's pretty eclectic, from advocacy, government, beyond. It's pretty astonishing what you all do, and we're happy to be here to help support you in all of these tasks. And looking at it the other day when I was preparing for this, I was thinking like, each of these has dozens, if not hundreds of people behind them, each one. And just that adds up. And I mean, many of you are also involved in like 3 or 4 of them, which I don't know how you find the time, but kudos to you. And I got curious. I was like, well, we grow a lot too. And how much do we grow? Those are all of the ones that have come into existence since I started. So that's 22. So 22 new groups have been created by all of you. So you saw a gap, you saw a need, and you gathered together to meet it. And staff are here as a resource for that, to help you fulfill your mission and your promise to the students, reducing the friction so that you are free to exercise your power to use all these resources to build. So what do you want to do this year? So let's take a look back so we can take a look forward, get some inspiration. And once again, all of these things that I'm about to show you, because I have to go multimedia, are things that have happened since I started here at AS. And all of you AS students help bring to life. So it seems simple, but this is the staircase at Campus Point. This did not exist, right? You built it. Coastal Fund provided funding and leadership to make this happen. It was a dirt path, a sketch dirt path that was really difficult to navigate. You had to like run up it and hope it wasn't muddy or rained anywhere, you know, in the past two months. But I went out there yesterday to get a picture because I realized I needed one. And there were just families and little kids and, you know, people with canes were able to like traverse this because we made it happen. You made it happen. And if you look at the first landing is a little thing that's a little faded, but Coastal Fund is there in the lower left corner. Food Bank, you built that. It wouldn't be possible without the passing of the Students Initiative in 2006. A new bike shop, you built that. This is, I think, the third bike shop that we've had since my time here, but the other two were rat infested. I think when I started here, they were left over from World War II. So they were like barracks. Yeah, not great. Here's an unexpected one. Ranked choice voting for all of our positions. That was, let's see, it was 2 senators, a student staff and me that built that. They came to me. That wasn't my idea. So even though one of those people that came to me, the senators, was a member of the dominant political party that stood to lose seats in the Senate with this new, more democratic model. An AS President's Reunion. We all got amazing perspective from the last 70 years of UCSB. You made that happen. Going back as far as there was a president who showed up, he's in the front row. He was president from 1939 to 1940. So speaking of, this is pre-World War II, for us at least. Before marriage equality, campus groups had an annual queer wedding celebration built by students, for students. And Parallel Carnival. It wasn't inevitable that a Ferris wheel and carnival games would end up being part of the annual celebration on the streets of IB, but they built it. Alternative breaks. You all saw a need after Hurricane Katrina and sent students to help New Orleans. And it's a tradition that continues to this day, twice a year. And year after year, amazing artists are brought to campus. Months of labor and planning and negotiations. This is just a small sampling. I really just wanted to share this one. And this is extravaganza at night, the one time we were allowed to do that. And this is looking out at the crowd of 14,000 people. So I highly recommend that experience. And one year, through MTV Rocks the Vote, if anyone remembers that, you all won a free concert by registering the most voters of any university in the entire country. And this is Death Cab for Cutie. That's who came to play for free. Or let's get a little bit odder, the Luminarium, which is an art piece that you can walk through. And Program Board has brought that to campus, I think, at least 3 times, maybe 4. You can build unusual things like inviting this gentleman, the Enigma, who is in this picture removing Windex, I'm gonna put that in quotes, from his stomach. Everyone has a very diverse set of interests, so you do you. We made characters, mascots really, Mapache and Storky, and gave them life as plushies, as you've seen. And then we decided we needed to go bigger, and maybe you saw our Storky mascot on your way in here. And even, let's take an event that no longer happens, which I think can still inspire. This is Chilla Vista, which was an annual event that took, I think it was the week after Earth Day, which is probably why it doesn't exist anymore, because it's overlapping a little bit too much. But this is a grad student who decided he wanted to do some fire breathing at the event. But kind of the point is, I'm encouraging you to find the thing that you want to do or sponsor, and give others that feeling of belonging, that feeling of connection. And you might say, Sean, is this presentation a stealth way of showing that you have a photography habit? And yes, it is. Here's my cat. But But I also really seriously want to say that you have the power to make a difference for yourself, for the students sitting next to you, and future generations of Gauchos. You can add to the foundation of what has already been built, or you can build something new. So take these 2 days to talk to people from other parts of AS, get some collaborations going, make some goals for the year, because you can't build without planning, and you can't build alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And thank you for the presentation. Thank you for being here. So nice to meet you.
Thank you all. We have to run to some other moving events, but enjoy the event and work hard.
Okay, before we jump into our first session, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself to you more and talk about some of my hopes for the next 2 days in the upcoming year. For those of you I have not formally met yet, my name is Leanne Metzger, and it's an honor to serve as your 2025-2026 AS President. I'm a fourth-year majoring in Global Studies, Communication, and Spanish. I was born in Orange County, grew up near Washington, D.C., and went to high school in Pasadena. I'm the daughter and granddaughter of Vietnamese refugees, and beyond college, I aspire to work in immigration and refugee advocacy. I have worked in this association since the very first month of my freshman year, starting out as nutrition coordinator in the Commission on Student Wellbeing. Quickly, AS became my home and my passion at UCSB. I loved hosting events, collaborating with other AS groups, and meeting students. I got the opportunity to serve as vice chair and co-chair of CAUSEWeb, where I focused on outreach and overdose prevention projects such as Overdose Prevention Week and putting Narcan in university housing. And I've also served as publicity coordinator for the IVP office and executive assistant in the president's office. I love AS. Nowhere else on campus do students have as much access to money and resources to make an impact on campus. More importantly, I'm consistently inspired by the passion held by AS leaders and the genuine desire to improve student life, whether it be advocating for meal swipe reform, lobbying for environmental protections, creating plans for a new bike path, or distributing food to students in need. In the upcoming year, let's continue all of our amazing work to elevate our campus and our community. Let's increase the visibility, transparency, and outreach of this association so more students are aware of and engaged in AS and our services. Let's foster a supportive community built on collaboration and communication within AS, working together to expand the efficiency and effectiveness of our projects. I'm setting high expectations for myself and for each of you this upcoming year. I urge you to take initiative, think about what you want to accomplish, and make a game plan. Work together and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Know that I will always be available to you as a resource, leader, a teammate, and most importantly, a friend. My door is always open, and I hope you all will visit. With that, welcome to the AS1 Leadership Retreat. I can't tell you how excited I am to have all of you here for what is sure to be an incredible 2 days. This retreat is an essential moment for us as a community, where we come together not just as individuals, but as a united team ready to lead and make a difference. Over the next couple of days, we'll focus on building meaningful connections, understanding our collective mission, learning essential knowledge and resources to excel in your positions, and preparing for a successful year ahead. But before we dive into all the exciting programming, I want to take a moment to recognize and thank the many people who made this retreat possible. First, to Holly Dunn, Marissa Valdez-Reynoso, Nayeli Broadway, and Sam Garcia. I cannot thank you enough for your time, dedication, and wisdom. Your contributions were invaluable in creating an engaging retreat that aligns with our goals for the year. Your support means the world to me, and it's an honor to have you here. I want to give a special shout out to Chelsea Lyon Hayden, who designed and created all the incredible programs you have in front of you. And to all the staff members, especially Kat, Sean, all the finance team, and all the facilitators who have helped play a role in the shaping this retreat, thank you. Whether it was lending a helping hand during the planning process or offering your insight or stepping up to facilitate sessions, your contributions have been crucial in bringing this event together. And of course, to all of you, thank you for taking the time out of your busy move-ins and end of summer plans to be here. Thank you for your dedication to AS and to the student body. This leadership retreat is about more than just learning the ins and outs of AS. It's about setting the foundation for the year ahead, facilitating new collaborations, and ultimately laying the groundwork for a successful, exciting, and healthy year together. This retreat is also a time for personal reflection and growth. As leaders, it's important to take moments like these to step back, think about the bigger picture, and recharge. I encourage you to engage deeply with the sessions, but also with each other. Take the time to have meaningful conversations, build relationships, and think about how you want to contribute to the larger AS mission. Every one of you brings something unique to the table, and it's through our collective effort that we'll achieve great things this year. I truly believe that what we accomplish during this retreat will set the tone for everything that follows. The relationships we build here, the goals we set, and the mindset we develop will carry us through the challenges and opportunities ahead. We're not just a collection of individuals, but we're a team, and when we work together, we are capable of creating real, lasting change for our campus and beyond. I want to say that I'm really looking forward to spending time with each and every one of you during the next 2 days. Whether it's during a session, at meals, or in between activities, I hope you'll feel comfortable to come up to me and chat, and I'm eager to get to know all of you better and hear your ideas, hopes, and visions for the year. So with that, I invite you to step into this retreat with an open mind and heart. Be present, engage fully, and enjoy every minute of it. Let's make the most of this opportunity to connect, grow, and prepare for the exciting year. Thank you, and let's get started. Our first session is our leadership inventory, led by our very own Marissa Valdez-Reynoso, Director of Community Affairs, Student Development, and Leadership for Associated Students. In this session, you'll be able to reflect on your leadership style, strengths, and areas of growth. So let's dive in and get started.
We're now live.
Well, we need to. This is an audio, you know. Next one.
Still not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, under like a blue, like Phoenix every day, it's like a lot, like it's.
There you go.
All right, I gave you a nice, long, extended break. So all of you in the back, can you hear me? Friends in the way back. If you can, I would love it if you all could come forward. All right, there are tables and chairs up here if you all want to come up a little bit closer. Okay, let me start. My name is Marissa Valdez Reynoso, she, her. I'm the Director of Community Affairs, Student Development, and Leadership. I joined staff here about, it'll be 2 years in November, so soon. I love being here. I originally worked at UC Berkeley for 15 years after doing my undergraduate there. I got my bachelor's from Berkeley, my master's from NYU, and I started my doctoral program in EDD at UCLA. So you can't tell I love UCs. My values as a staff and as a leader are rooted in justice, equity, belonging, and service. I'm highly, highly committed to public higher education. It's really important to me. And I'm hoping my senior in high school will choose a UC, so we'll see if he gets admitted. What I'd like to start with today, and we're going to improvise because that's what leaders do, right? How many have ever been in an event, a meeting, where you're like, uh-oh, nothing is going the way I planned, I have to improvise? Who's done that? Exactly. It's part of leadership. So I'm going to improvise this one because there's no way I'm going to get through everything in less than 40 minutes. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to run through this as though you're seeing something that I could come facilitate for your group. If the content is something you're interested in, you want to go into a deeper dive, this is content I would be much more comfortable doing in probably 2 or 3 hours if your group wanted to do something more in depth. I also facilitate Strengths Quest or Clifton Strengths, if any of you have done that, and a bunch of other workshops. So know that I'm a resource when it comes to that. So today we're going to talk about leadership as an action. To lead is to go, to guide, to try, right? First, I want you to think about somebody who embodies leadership to you. So go ahead and take a moment to think about a person, whether it's a well-known figure, somebody in your friendship group, a romantic partner, anybody. Put that vision in your head. What makes them a leader to you? What are the characteristics that come to mind? And then I want you to shout out some of those things. Or if you feel comfortable, tell me who the person is and what makes them a leader to you. Yes. Holly's gonna come bring so we're streaming, so we have to use the microphone for folks online. Thank you.
Hello. For me, the first person that comes to mind is my speech and debate coach. She was a teacher for over 50 or 60 years, and one of the big things that stood out to her as a leader is she had a big heart, and even with a team over 200 people, she would always check in, and she really made sure that every individual understood how important they were to the overall team.
I love that. And what's your name? And what group are you with?
I'm Anusha. I'm the External Affairs Coordinator of the Pardall Center.
Ooh, we love the Cardell Center. Give her some snacks or some claps for participating. Thank you for participating. us. Anybody else? We'll take maybe one more. I will pick on you. If somebody doesn't go ahead and, oh, okay, the front table, we'll leave it to them.
Hi, everybody. My name is EJ. I'm the External Vice President of Local Affairs. And the leader that came to mind for me was my dad. And I would say like the number one trait that makes him a leader in my mind is decisiveness. Like I feel like he never struggles to make decisions. He just picks one and like goes fully on it, which I respect because I feel like sometimes I struggle to make hard decisions. So that's what kind of came to mind for me.
I love that, decisiveness. Even if you struggle with making a decision, especially in your leadership role, that's normal. That makes you normal and that makes you human. And that's okay, because it means that you're taking time to think about the decision you're making. And part of that is something we're going to talk about is how do you make that decision? What is the framework by which you make that decision? That's part of your leadership. So we're not going to do all this because there's not enough time. But what we're going to talk about is the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. How many of you were got my email and the link worked and you got the code and were able to actually do the student leadership practices inventory that I emailed to you? Woo, I'm impressed. Okay. How many of you didn't get it? That's okay. You can go. How many of you got it? You're just like, I'm not going to do it yet. That's okay too. I was going to work on this, but I went to a concert last night instead, so that's all right. So what we're going to talk about a little bit more is the 5 practices that you learned, and these come from a couple different authors who wrote the Leadership Challenge and the Student Leadership Challenge. So it's a great book if you ever want to read it. That's what the inventory that it took is based on, and it comes down to 5 practices that we're going to talk about. So we're going to start off with some basics here. For the purposes of this workshop, we're going to think about leadership A as an action, right? It's something you do. It's not something you are. How many of you know people with a title who don't exert leadership? So leadership is not about title. It's what you do, how you make those decisions, and how you share that vision with others and get others to feel empowered to make change themselves, right? So it's an action. Leadership is the art of mobilizing others to want to struggle for shared aspirations. That's what you all are doing. How many of you are this is your first year with AS? Thanks, a lot of you. How many of you, this is your second year with AS? Fabulous. 3rd year with AS. Awesome. 4th or more year with AS. Woo! Stand up and take your honors, because that's awesome. I see you back there. All right, everybody clap for him, because that's impressive. That's commitment, and I'm impressed by it. In my former role at Berkeley, I was the director of student organization advising and leadership development. We have 1,200 student groups there, and they keep me busy. They kept me busy, partly why I left. A lot of what happened in the last 2 weeks is what I did at Berkeley. Free speech, supporting free speech no matter the content, and making sure that our students have the opportunity to bring folks to campus to speak, even if they had views that I did not agree with, and a lot of them I did not. But that's what's hard about leadership, is sometimes you have to make decisions that aren't in alignment with you and yours, but we're going to talk about that. What do you do in those instances? So the first practice we're going to talk about is called Model the Way. So when you took your inventory, you were basically answering questions that connected back to the 5 practices that we're going to talk about today. And so you were rated on how well you meet each of those 5 leadership practices. So we're gonna go through the 5. So model the way is clarifying your voice and affirming shared values and setting an example by aligning your actions with your shared values. How many of you know the mission and values of your BCU? How many of you know the mission and values of AS? Maybe a little fewer. How many of you know the mission and values of UCSB? How many of you know your own values, your personal values? Much more. Great. That's another workshop I do, values clarification. So one thing I like to talk about with folks is when you're thinking about leadership and alignment with values and how you make decisions, how you model the way, is knowing what your personal values are and how and if and do they align with the organizations that you are involved with. Do your values align with your BCU, with AS, with UCSB? And if not, why not? And if you've never taken the time to think about your values, I have a great workshop, but it's really important to really ground yourself in your own personal values. And where do you get those values from? Your personal values, where do those come from? From within? Who else might have influenced your values in life? Your family? Friends? What was that? Religion, spirituality, absolutely. Mother Nature, yes. The environment, absolutely. Schools and teachers, absolutely, right? Sometimes people teach you values that you don't align with, right? Some of us have experienced folks in elementary school or high school who exhibited something that you're like, that does not jive with who I am. That's not part of my values. And then making a decision not to participate is a values-based decision. So really take the time to think about what are my personal values and how do those align with the organization that I'm involved with? And how do I make sure everyone shares those values? So the second one is to inspire a shared vision, right? So if you're in a group, how many of you been in a group and everyone's like too many cooks in the kitchen and somebody has this vision, somebody else has that vision, and folks just can't get on the same page? Been there? Yeah, how does that feel? Disheartening? Does anyone want to share an example? Dysfunction? Don't worry, I've seen it in AS too. I've seen it in my own staffs and places I've worked at. And sometimes it's hard to make a decision to say, this doesn't work for me, I have to leave to make change and be somewhere where I feel like my values are in alignment and that I can work collaboratively with folks, right? That's my value. I'm not a go it alone kind of girl. I need to know that I can work collaboratively with a group because I know we're going to go further by making changes together, right? So how do you do that? So inspiring a shared vision means you're looking at the possibilities and what's exciting about the future and how you're going to inspire that shared aspiration with everybody in your group. So you heard Leanne's goals for this year. That's her inspiring you all to know what's important to her, but how that is going to happen is through and with all of you. She cannot do it by herself, but she's critically important. She's going to speak tomorrow to all the incoming students in this new event they have, so Group Place Convocation. And she's going to help inspire those new students, maybe to get involved with all of you, maybe to come join AS. How many of you still have some open positions in your BCU you still need to share? So you need those incoming students. She's going to help you by recruiting them. She's going to inspire their vision by connecting them with the values that we hold as an organization. So, any of you have a vision that you'd like to share for your BCU? Please introduce yourself and your group.
Yes, I'm Ben, and I'm part of the Community Affairs Board, and part of our mission is empowering others through volunteer work.
We love that. It's a great value and very much in alignment with not only the association, but also with the university's mission of service, public service. Anybody else?
Yeah, so I'm Tony, we're from Raíces. A big, like value for us is diversity in education and especially in culture. So, yeah, cultural diversity, that's a big thing that we do. The way we teach that is through dance and, just teaching like the revolutionary ideas through that. So, yeah.
I love that. And last year, when I presented at the SEAL Leadership Retreat, I met with a lot of folks from Raíces, and I love y'all. And they inspired me. They were like, you love this? Come be a part of our group. You can come learn how to dance too. And I love that because I felt included, I felt like I belong, and you were affirming my identity as a Latina, right? So that was awesome. So props to your board from last year because they kicked ass. And I'm sure you will too. Okay, next one is challenge the process. So this is when it gets fun. This is when it gets tough. This is when we say, we're not going to just do what we've always done. How many of you have been in a group where you're like, that's what we do because we've always done it this way? I gotta say, student governments love to do this. And it's hard to change that, right? Especially when you have a constitution and bylaws book that's like this thick. It's hard to change something that has such a big foundation to who you are. Challenging the process means looking for opportunities to seize the initiative and looking outward for innovative ways to improve. You might have a vision, and you might also have a thought for changing a process, for a new event, for a new way to bring members into your organization. That's awesome. And it can be scary for folks who don't like change. How many of you love change? Can't wait to change things up in your group or do something new, right? How many of you are like, change kind of scares me? Yes. So look around the room. You have both. You're going to experience that within the leadership of your organization. Some folks are going to be all about change, and some folks are going to be all about tradition. There's a way to find collaboration in that. How do you honor tradition? How do you honor the past? How do you honor where you started as an organization while also going forward and improving it for the next folks? One of the biggest things I talked about at Berkeley, when I would get up and talk to, we'd have to train 6,000 students to be signatories for their student group. And one of the things I love to talk about, sorry, I said that last night. John Baptiste was amazing last night at the Bowl. Okay, hold on. So amazing. If you've not listened to him or watched his documentary, I highly recommend it. A lot of what he talked about last night was values, and it felt really in alignment and prepping me for talking to you all today. It was beautiful. What was I saying? I'm telling you all. Okay. My brain just gone. Okay. Who has challenged the process in their own organization? How many of you have done something that you feel comfortable sharing with us? Something you saw an opportunity for innovation and you took it. What was that and how did you do it? You might want to make sense. Sorry. And please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ashlyn Shelton. I'm the Internal Affairs Co-Chair for CODE, which is the Commission on Disability Equity. This experience was before, and it actually what drove me to join CODE. But the biology department has something called the 7th quarter requirement, which is time restricted for students with disabilities. And they said that it was just the way it was going to be. And I was like, no, actually. So I worked with the ADA compliance officer on campus, and it was a 9-month long process. I had to file a grievance with the vice chancellor's office. So challenging the process can be very rigorous and you can get kind of down on yourself and wonder, is it worth it? But it always is. And now students hopefully don't have that time challenge anymore. But I had to get crafty with my request.
Let's give her a round of applause. That's amazing. And again, it's scary because you're not only challenging something, you're putting yourself on the line, right? You're taking a potential personal hit to that, right? If something doesn't go right, or if somebody challenges you and tells you no, right? Then we always talk about privilege and hierarchy and power. You layer that into challenging the process and things get even more difficult. This is why I stay with UCs, because I love student leadership. I love the initiative that I see in students. This is why I continue to stay here. My role and goal as an advisor is to help you set that vision and that dream, and for us to help you figure out how to get there. Not tell you how to do it, not do the hard work for you, not come to Marissa because there's conflict in our org and we don't want to talk about it. Can you do it? No. But I will coach you on how to do it yourself, or I'll sit with you on how to do that. We also have some great workshops coming up on how to challenge processes, advocacy work. Sarah, one of our staff in the office, is going to come chat with you about how she does that with her groups, particularly with Coastal Fund, EJA, et cetera, et cetera. Really great way. Listen to her. You all just went to the state capitol, right? How was that? Did you do some advocacy work? Oh, did you? Can I hear about it?
Yes.
You say that, I'm gonna make you get up. Introduce yourself to the group and tell us a little bit about your trip.
Hi, my name is Noah Lucan. I'm a senator with the 76th Senate. Our lovely pro temps, Evan and Melanie, and our IVP Henry organized a retreat for us in Sacramento. And one of the opportunities that we had was to meet with a staffer for Monique Limon, who is our representative here in Santa Barbara in the state assembly or state senate, in the state senate, excuse me. We met with one of her staffers, and we were able to bring up to him some of the issues that we are hoping to address as a senate and as an association that are student facing and community facing. And it was really empowering for us to stand there, talk to him, have him hear our ideas, and get us in contact with the senator for follow-up and to work with us in pursuing our goals.
Love that. Do you want to add anything? Henry's giving you some coaching.
Yeah, so the policy, or I guess the initiatives that we brought up were, and please tell me if I'm forgetting one, but one, addressing cuts to late night study, ensuring that we have adequate study space for students all 24 hours of the day. Secondly was housing in Alabama. We all know it's an issue, we all know it's expensive, and we all know that the conditions are very poor. And there was a third one. Yes, and then some work that we would like to do with ensuring associated students, autonomy, for lack of a better word, within the structure of campus and administration, to guarantee that students have the ability and capacity to advocate for themselves and for the issues that matter to them for years to come.
Absolutely. I would really hope to go on that trip with you all, but this took precedence already. But I will do stuff with you soon. I'm really impressed by that. And there is a value to student governance, especially in public higher education. That is a shared, we are in a part, what is called a shared governance model. So the university recognizes that you have a student government and you have the autonomy to run that student government, and you share in the decision-making of the campus, where your student fees go, what happens when cuts are made, what happens when they're going to raise tuition, what happens if you have safety issues on campus. Shared governance is really important. It's part of one of the values that I love most working with all of you, is that this is your opportunity to step up It's your opportunity to take accountability and to be transparent. It's not just to hold the university accountable, it's to hold yourselves accountable as well. To be transparent with your student community that you represent, but also hold the university accountable to its transparency with its decision-making and with its, with its decision-making, the impact, right? So I always remind folks when I'm in a room and a big decision's about to be made, where are the students? At what stage do students have their voice? Because even if it's the right decision, it's the wrong process if students aren't involved. Because that's what shared governance is. So I try to hold to that. It's not always easy because sometimes I get pushback from folks who are like, no, later, right? And it's like, no, now. So we have your back in opportunities like that as well. So know that that's what we share with y'all. To take that risk. Okay, are we on the fourth one? Enable others to act. So this one's important because again, it doesn't come back to just you. Leadership is not about one person. It's about getting and empowering folks to step up and inspiring them to take action. Because you're not always going to be here. How do you foster the next generation of leaders within your organization? How do you empower them to step into a role? Let me ask you, how did you get involved with AS? Who brought you to AS? How did you figure out about it? Was there a person who has an inspiring story about how they got involved with AS?
Hi, my name is Citlali Sanchez, and I'm here with Raisa Zmitera. We became involved with AS just last year because of our co-chairs, Tony, Sarah, and Carlos. The other two have graduated. And also because of Senators Butler and Senator Iman. She was like one of the people who really like helped me see what AS is and how we can create change for other cultural organizations alongside our own here on campus. And I don't know, I think it's just really inspiring what we can do like through the power of AS. And it like we already have some pretty good collaboration with other cultural organizations coming for this year that we want to do, want to help foster. And I think that's all thanks to AS and thanks to Senator Iman because she's like really helped us like see what's possible.
She's amazing, and so are you. Big hands. We are so excited to have Raisa Zmitera as part of our organization and on our campus. And a big shout out to Senator Wahidullah because she did an amazing job. So yeah, it's important to do that, right? So now that you've come into the fold, how do you do that for others? How do you do what Iman did and get other folks to be inspired to make change or to do something as hard as to go from CEO as an RCO to AS? It's not easy. So how do you make those decisions? Those decisions come back to your values. What's the framework by which you make decisions and inspire other folks to get involved? One of the things we talk about is what's called DWY. SYWD. What does that stand for? DWY SYWD. No, but that was creative.
What you say, do.
Yes, good job, EJ. Do what you say you will do, right? It is easy for all of us to stand on the podium and be like, this is what I'm all about. These are my values. These are my credentials. Just listen to me because I have a title. Bullshit. Show me your values. Don't tell me your values. Show me how you use those values to make a decision, especially the hard ones. When you're going to cut something, when you're going to change what you're doing, when you're going to create a new position or a new event. How are you gonna do that? And it can't just be about you. That's the hard part. If you're doing it alone, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna question you. Is there another way? Is there a better way? How can you get more people involved in that decision-making process? Just like I told you, we are mindful, Holly and I, quite mindful about making sure students have voices in every decision that matters, right? How do you do that for your community? How do you do that for the leadership in your organization? And if you're not sure, these are good questions for you to have as a board. Have this discussion, ask each other, what are our values? How do we make decisions? I would say we as an organization, as a staff, we're going through that right now. We just had an amazing leader who was with the organization for how long? Maricela?
18 years.
18 years. I was excited because when are you ever going to, as a Latina, have a supervisor who shares your identity and has a PhD? Not very often in my world. And I love that. One of the reasons why I came here. And it wasn't all roses. I challenged her every step of the way, and we fought and battled. But love and with my values. Holly and I had lots of conversations with her about, is there another way? Can we do away with paper requisitions? Right? Is there a way we can utilize technology better? While also honoring the legacies that she brought to the organization. That's hard. But our organizations are about the people in them. It's not about the processes. It's how you make people feel. That's important, right? So how do you enable others to? And the fifth practice is called encourage thought. And we love this one. This is recognition, recognition, and recognition. How do you celebrate the people in your organization? How do you celebrate the wins? How do you acknowledge the misses and the mess ups and mistakes without breaking the organization down? How do you make that part of the learning process and expect that that's going to happen? Because that's normal, right? None of you are going to have a perfect year. None of you are going to have a perfect event. One of the things I told Leanne for today, she was in big time planning mode and was like, once we get here, shit's not going to go right. We had more people show up than we thought. We had to improvise and put people in the back, right? That happens. But how you react in those situations is more important than the fact that it's something messed up. If you freak out, people are going to know something went wrong, right? How you react is important, but how you also acknowledge how people improvise or find ways to make things work is also important. So how do you do that in ways where you value the people in your organization? And here's the thing, not everyone wants to be recognized the same way. Some people love public acknowledgement. Some people can't stand that. It's like the worst. What are ways that you like to be acknowledged and recognized for the work that you do? Or what are ways that you have practiced that with your group? Any particular stories you'd like to share? How do you honor the group or been in an organization in the past who did this really well? Or a leader in your organization who did this really well? Any examples from the back? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so just an example that oh, sorry. My name is Leah. I'm the External Vice President for Statewide Affairs. And one thing that I noticed from my predecessor, Monica, she did a very good job at acknowledging and uplifting the people who did different work within her office. At the end of the year, there's this cute little ceremony they call the Pleiades, where each different officer goes and designs a little plate and award for all of their staff, people that they feel really excels in certain areas, And I just think even like little heartwarming things like that keep people going, just basic acknowledgement for the work that they put in. We love the ladies.
And if you don't have ideas and you need to get them, talk to the people in this room. They experienced it. They have ideas. Lean on people. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Don't do that. Work on things that have already worked well and go from there. And it's not just about celebrating the big wins. How do you celebrate the little and the small wins along the way? Because that's what encourages people to keep going, is when there's little things that go really well. So don't forget to do that as well. Okay, so we're going to talk really quickly about the LPI, so the Leadership Practices Inventory. If you have not yet taken it, don't worry, you still can. If you're having issues with the link to get to the code, email me and I'll send you the proper link. And for those of you who didn't get a code, let me know and we'll get you one. So it's 30 behavior-based statements indicating how frequently you engage in each of the practices. What were some of the questions on there? Shout it out. Age group. What were some of the practices that they asked you about in the survey?
How well do you collaborate?
How well do you collaborate? How well do you collaborate? And you have to be honest, right? You can't put your aspirational goals there. You have to be real with yourself. Because often when I do leadership with folks and talk about the process and the praxis of leadership, folks are so quick to like hold up a mirror to everybody else and to say, here's all the things you need to fix. I'm going to show you all the ways that you're not doing things right. And what I encourage leaders to do is to flip that mirror and to look in that mirror first before you do that to others. Ask yourself the hard questions and answer them. Because if you've not done that yourself and you expect other people to do that, that's BS, right? Because you've not done the hard work yourself. You need to ask yourself, how well do I collaborate? How well do I make decisions? How do I recognize folks, or am I only good at pointing out what they do wrong instead of what they could learn from the moment and from the opportunity, right? So if you weren't so honest when you did the LPI, it's an opportunity to even ask the people on your boards, how well do I collaborate? Because what you think is one thing, and what their perception and their experience might be vastly different. So being really open to the feedback to hear how well you do in these areas is critically important. So I encourage you to have those conversations with other folks. And these are the key learnings of the leadership practices. That leadership is everyone's business. It is a process. It is not a title. It's about the constant self-development. When I think about leadership, I think about it as a continual practice of knowing what your values are, making decisions based on those values, trying them out with others, seeing the results, and then doing the process all over again, right? The more I learn about these things, I realize, oh, there's so much I don't know. There's so much I need to know. So I encourage you to do that practice. Leadership is a set of skills and abilities that can be learned. I don't buy into the great man myth of great leaders are born. Some of our politicians might think otherwise. I would challenge that. I would say this moment in time, politically, is a great way to assess the leadership practices. Because every day I'm waking up these days and I'm thinking, oof, that doesn't align with my values. That's not how I would have made that decision. How would I challenge that? Right? It's rough right now. And it is a reminder of literally everything we're talking about right now. How do you share decision making? How do you make those decisions based on your values? Or are you just doing it for your own resume building? To put your name on stuff? And I will challenge senators all the time on that. Are you doing this for your resume? Or are you doing this for your community? And you have to be honest with yourself about that answer. Because what's happening these days is really challenging, and we need to think about how can we be better, and how do we improve the experience for students on this campus? What's within our sphere of control, and then how in our roles can we influence decisions above us, whether with its campus leadership, the regents, our state lawmakers, and higher. My son won a leadership scholarship this past year, and he won a trip to DC. He's going next week, the weekend after, and I'm scared. I'm legit scared. I actually am not sure that I want him to go, because I worry what a Latino male might experience in that environment right now. And it's scary. It's really scary. As a parent, it's scary. For any of you, if you were out there, I'd be scared too. And so, but part of me has to take off my mom hat sometimes and say, if I'm truly practicing what I believe in, he's gonna make an informed decision. And I'm gonna trust that I've instilled in him the values and the ways to make decisions to keep himself safe when he goes out there. Those are the things that matter. So be thinking about in your day-to-day experience, come back to these 5 practices and ask yourself, am I meeting them, and how can I do better? And have that conversation within your group, because that's why it's important. Everything you're doing, no matter how small, no matter how big, matters on this campus community. And you are adding to the further development and the legacy of all the student leaders that came before you. And I am grateful to work with such inspiring students every day. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I love it when you challenge me, because I learn from that as well. So I encourage you to do this with yourself. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm going to start to wrap up and just say, you have everything you need inside of you, and you have it within the community around you. Lean on each other. Remember how to connect, share your values, recognize each other, and inspire others to get involved as well. We are here to support you. We are understaffed as a student government team, but we're going to fix that this year and have some ideas. If you have ideas for how we can better support BCUs and student government, because right now it's just the 2 of us for student government, and we want to get more support for BCUs. As you saw what Sean shared, we've had a lot of new BCUs, but we've not kept pace with the support and advising staff. And so we're going to be working on that right now. So it's inequitable at the moment, but know that you always have any of us in the staff to work with you. You don't have to work with any just one advisor. And Holly and I are going to talk about that in a workshop tomorrow. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I thank you for your participation. I thank you for your engagement. But most of all, I thank you for your service to the community. Go Gauchos. Oh, sorry. Oh, I just turned it off.
Thank you so much, Marissa. Okay, we're gonna take a quick 10-minute break, start back at 2:25. So grab some water, go to the bathroom. The only thing is our next session, we're gonna need some of the some of the paper and markers. And so some of the tables in the back, don't have any, but there's extra on the front table, so please come and grab some so you'll be ready. And I'll see you all in 10 minutes. Also, if you could all quickly just fill out the quick attendance QR code that we'll be doing at each of the sessions, that would be fantastic. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna get started with some announcements and updates of things I've been working on over the summer. Just because it's not often that I get to have so many of you in one room. So yeah, I'm gonna give you guys some updates and try to get through this as quickly as possible, and then we'll move into our set the vision, drive the mission session, where we'll be walking through our new 5-year strategic vision plan and setting some goals for the upcoming year. But first, some announcements. Okay, so as some of you may or may not know, we have an office space. It's called AS Main, and it's located on the first floor of the Multicultural Center. And above AS Main is the AS admin office, where you'll find AS staff, and outside is the ticket office, where you can pick up checks. And I encourage you all to use AS Main as a meeting space and a study space. It has a microwave, a mini fridge, and snacks at your disposal. And this summer, I've been working on cleaning the space and making some aesthetic improvements. And throughout this year, I'll be working on some larger scale renovations to update it to match our current needs. So yeah, I just want to make you all aware of this resource, and yeah, please use it and keep it clean. Next thing I want to briefly go over is some quarterly report structure changes. So in the current system, chairs have to give reports to the Senate each quarter. And while these reports contain some really useful information that helps us understand what goes on in AS, the current system is inefficient and ineffective. As a former BCU chair myself, I waited up to 3 hours at a Senate meeting to speak for 3 minutes to give my report to a limited number of people. And due to the number of reports, it can make Senate meetings at the end of the quarter go really, really late. So one of my first priorities as president is to improve this system so that more people across the association can have access to the quarterly reports to increase AS-wide cross-entity knowledge. And knowing about the projects and other AS groups can help increase our sense of an AS identity and help facilitate collaboration and coordinated action for shared goals. So this leads me to my proposed solution, which will be voted upon in the Senate in the upcoming weeks, which is quarterly State of the Association meetings. And so these will take place on Tuesday of week 8 in Corwin Pavilion, with dinner, of course. And at this meeting, executives, senators, and a representative from each AS entity will be both giving quarterly reports and listening to everyone else's quarterly reports. And some of you are probably not thrilled to hear about an additional meeting to attend, but think about it this way. You already put in time to make these great quarterly reports and sit at hours to Senate to give it. So instead, let's make those hours more productive and allow everyone across the association to hear what your AS entity is up to. And the meeting will also be live streamed so students can hear all about AS in one space, which is really awesome. So if you have any feedback about this proposal, feel free to email me. Okay, next exciting announcement I have for you is that I'll be kicking off an AS monthly newsletter starting hopefully on September 28th, pending a few last details. But this newsletter will go out monthly to all UCSB students and is part of my efforts to increase student outreach, visibility, and awareness of AS. And the newsletter will include event promotion, Senate recaps, entity spotlights, open positions, meeting times, and a lot more. And so all of you will be able to advertise your events and programs in the newsletter by submitting content to this Google form every month. The submission will be due about a week before the newsletter goes out. All the specific dates are on there. Again, this first one is a little date TBD, so I'll let you all know. But this will be a really good opportunity for you to advertise what your VCU does, your events, and also to reduce the number of university-wide emails we send, because we get too many of those. So I hope you all will use this really awesome outreach opportunity. Next thing I want to tell you about is some updates I've made to the Pearman Fellowship Legal Code, with some senators this summer. So the Pearman Fellowship is our mentorship program for new students. And we've clarified the timeline, developed a more robust leadership curriculum, and clear requirements for completing the program in order to motivate and our Pearman Fellows to do work for the association. And we'll also be giving a small honorary stipend for those who complete it. So I strongly encourage all of your entities to take on 1 or 2 Pearman Fellows for the year, and you can fill out the interest form with this QR code right here. Next, I want to highlight a spreadsheet I hope you all fill out. So as many of you know, our meetings are supposed to be open to the public so that students can attend and even bring concerns, ideas, and request money. But there's a serious lack of accessibility to AS, and most students don't know how to contact us. So I'm asking that you please fill out your fall meeting time and location, update your contact information, and I'll be able to publicize this on the newsletter, Instagram, all the places, and eventually we'll also be able to update this on our websites very soon. So take a picture of this, and I'll also be sending all this out to you soon. Another quick announcement spreadsheet to fill out is the vacancies, COC open position spreadsheet. So we currently don't have a centrally located place with all current open AS positions, which makes it really hard for students who want to get involved in AS, but they have to look in all different emails and posts in different places. So even if you don't want committee on committees to interview people or hire for you, you should still fill out what open positions you have, the application link and the deadline, so that they can help put this all in one place and publicize it for you. And now you may be thinking, that was a lot of links, Leanne. How am I supposed to find all these? And this leads me to my very exciting announcement, which is that we have an AS Canvas this year. And this Canvas will be a really awesome spot for all of these AS resources that you can find in all one place. You don't have to go searching through your email so much. It'll also have like other resources for you, like legal code, templates, a lot of things. And in the future, it'll also become a really clear and easy space for AS orientations. So you can join the course by scanning the QR code, and you also should be receiving an invite in your email pretty soon. But yeah, please join the course. I think this will be a really great resource for us to use throughout the upcoming years. And I want to give a really big shout out to Eric Carlson, who spent his summer crafting the AS Canvas page and preparing orientation models that will soon be available for you. So yeah, please scan the QR code. Okay, now just looking forward to my year as your AS president. As you probably gathered from all these announcements, internally, I'll be focused on improving communication, AS climate, and our visibility and transparency to students. And then my office and myself will also be working on a lot of different projects this year. And some that we've already started on are Coffee with the President, Ivy Farmers Market, food bank pop-ups, improvements to the Pardall Light Tunnel, more alumni connections, Raise the Bar project, which has to do with eliminating sexual assault in bars, Lean on Me, Ivy Trading Post support, Living History Project, undocumented students grants, and much more. So that's a little sneak peek. And here's my contact information. If you ever need it, please take a picture. There's my email. You can email me whenever, and my link to my Calendly if you ever want to set up a meeting. It is currently not updated, so you cannot meet with me yet, but it will be. So yeah, thank you for listening to all these updates. I'll take questions later today during our execs panel. I want to keep us kind of moving forward. So next, I'm going to go on to my next presentation, which is Set the Vision, Drive the Mission. Okay, so this session was prepared by myself and my my Chief Operations Officer, Nena, who unfortunately cannot be here today, so I'll be giving it myself. But let's get started on talking about our AS Strategic Vision Plan and setting some goals for the upcoming year. So what is the Strategic Operations Office, which creates the 5-year AS Vision Plan? So the office is part of the President's Cabinet. So I'm my Chief Operations Officer, and then they have the Strategic Operations Office under them. And they're responsible for assessing how AS and its entities are performing. And this office also leads projects that strengthens both UCSB and Isla Vista. So one project that they recently done in the past couple of years is the iPads for Equity project. So you can check out an iPad at the Basic Needs Center, which is super awesome. And all of its work is guided by the Strategic Vision Plan, which is a roadmap built from student priorities that ensures that AS stays accountable, focused, and committed to long-term progress for our campus and our community. So what is the Strategic Vision Plan? So it's a roadmap for AS priorities. And essentially, all AS goals should tie back to the Strategic Vision Plan. After taking in broad student input, we're putting together main ideas to focus our goals on. And this also helps provide continuity as AS changes, because as you know, many projects can't be accomplished in a year, but year to year, if we can keep building on each other and have like one set vision, we can get a lot more done. So this upcoming vision plan will be slightly different, as it'll be including a dashboard to help track each entity's goals and progress, and this will be available not only to the entire association, but to students to increase that transparency. So some of the key performance indicators to help us assess if we're doing the strategic vision plan, how we're doing on it, are, these 5 KPIs are AS internal student involvement, student understanding and knowledge, efficiency, spending and financial responsibility, and AS reputation. And so this year we're focusing on strengthening communication, making sure that there are open communication between entities so that we can help one another with goals and make sure there isn't any overlapped work being done, but instead working together to achieve goals. And then communicating with students, out with the broader student body. And then we're working to get the dashboard up and running. It's not currently ready yet, but they're working on it. And also increasing transparency, so quarterly financial reports, things like that. Okay, next up I'm going to talk about SMART goal setting, and then we'll tie it all together. So why should we set goals as student leaders within our teams and for ourselves in our positions? So a few different reasons. For one, direction. So setting goals will help give your team direction and focus your projects and events on fulfilling your individual team's mission statement and the AS strategic vision plan. Setting goals also helps promote motivation. Working together towards a clear goal builds energy and excitement for the cause. Tracking progress. Goals also help your team to track its progress, and they allow you to measure what's working and then adjust when needed. And then when your team sets goals, you can then look at everyone's roles within and how you individually will set goals to achieve the team goal. And they also help everyone in the team feel responsible for your group success. And setting goals also helps develop leadership skills, because you develop the skills of planning and prioritizing and to lead effectively in order to achieve these goals. And so how do we set good goals? And the framework that I recommend using, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, is SMART goals, which stands for S, specific. So be specific. When you're setting goals, be specific about what you want to achieve. The more specific your goals are, the clearer the direction is for how to act. For example, last year I did a lot of work for overdose prevention. Instead of setting a vague goal of reducing overdoses, I set the goal of making Narcan available in student housing. And having that specific goal had allowed me to have a specific project to work on. M stands for measurable. It's really important that you can measure the success of your goal so that you can assess how you're doing and know when the goal is complete. For example, instead of setting a goal of greater student engagement, think about how many more students do you want to reach or by what percentage. A stands for achievable. Make sure your goals are realistic considering your resources and time. Challenge yourself, but don't set yourself up for failure. Fixing the housing crisis is probably not a realistic goal for you. But projects that target specific areas of the housing crisis could be attainable, like distributing mold kits or creating Rate My Landlord. R stands for relevant. Ask yourself, does this goal support your team's mission or purpose? Does the goal further the AS strategic vision plan? And are you the right person or group to achieve this goal? Is the goal relevant to the current student climate or situation? So if I'm a part of the bike committee, should my goals be related to bikes or mental health? T stands for time bound. Assign a start and end date to your goal to encourage yourself to reach it within a deadline, and setting midway deadlines for different parts of the goal can help you stay on track and avoid procrastination. And as for goal setting, think about the key performance indicators and how you can ground your goals in one or multiple of the KPIs. So now we're gonna do something a bit more interactive, so you don't have to keep hearing me talk. So I know many of you guys are not sitting exactly with only people in your AS entity, that's okay. But I want you all to have a discussion about the internal, excuse me, I skipped over a slide. The internal vision plan is, so we're gonna have an internal and an external vision plan. The internal vision plan kind of has to do with improving communication between entities, strengthening internal training, leadership pipelines, and success is measured through like our quarterly meetings and dashboard progress. So an example of the work of a goal that works towards this internal vision plan would be to communicate more with more AS groups so that instead of replicating work, we're working together to build stronger projects. So as I was saying, get with your tables and set some goals for the internal vision plan that you individually or you as an AS entity can help to complete. So each table has some paper and markers, so for you to write down your goals, and you'll have about 8 minutes, and then we'll have some people share. So go ahead and start discussing the internal vision plan. Alrighty, would anyone like to share a goal that their table talked about or a project or anything?
Thank you. So, Pro Temp Evan and I worked on an internal vision plan for the Senate, and we have a full page of things that we'd like to see done. But some of the most important ones to us was enhancing Senate representation and increasing student trust for the student body, as well as reforming and restructuring the Senate and the legal code to better serve student needs. Increasing Senate accessibility to the broader association and student body, making campus and AS a more equitable place where all students feel safe, and most importantly, making sure that student dollars are going towards student needs and using Senate unallocated and HIP for projects that directly benefit the student body with tangible results, which means prioritizing short-term goals as much as long-term goals.
Thank you so much. Those are some amazing goals. Does anyone else want to share? Maybe one or two more people?
Yes. Hello, so for the Community Affairs Board, something we've struggled with is really having our board working together and collaborating well. And since we're a volunteering organization, an idea for a goal that I had is to have one social volunteer event per quarter where at least half of the leader board members show up and we do a volunteer event together. We're not talking about funding or anything. We're not talking about board business. We're just coming together, volunteering, and having a good time.
Yeah, I think that is super excellent idea to think about how you within your AS entity can foster like a good and collaborative community and, you know, build real relationships outside of AS. Does anyone else want to share? Okay, we'll move on.
Can you share with us one of your goals?
Yeah, so so one of my goals is to improve communication and like AS-wide knowledge, and so that's where kind of the State of the Association meeting kind of came out of, because I think that, you know, sometimes we can be very siloed within AS and not know like that there is a wider AS community that we can lean on and get resources from and get support from and knowledge and collaborate with. So that would be one of my goals for internally. All right, next we're gonna focus on the external vision plan, which has to do with our relationships with students in the UCSB community, UCSB administrations, RCOs, Isla Vista organizations, and community stakeholders. And the goals here kind of have to do with, improving student life, transparency, advocating for needs, and creating visible change. So we're gonna get into groups again and kind of talk about how your group can set some goals to impact the wider student body. And this can be, think about, maybe in your position, what are some goals you have in your specific group, what are some goals you have for projects, and as AS, like what are some things that you can do to support all of that coming all together. So take another like 8 minutes to talk. Okay, would anyone like to share some external goals that they have?
Introduce yourself.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Henry Lola. I'm the internal vice president this year. And myself and our first president, pro tempore, Sussman, we thought that we would speak a little bit about, don't know why that's so funny. We would speak a little bit about our goals and how it might relate to other entities planning as well. So we think that our office is really uniquely positioned to both negotiate with our campus partners constructively and constantly on the main things that we want to accomplish. So these for us will center around more housing construction on the projects that are already going on and the ones we want to see developed on and around campus. And the ILP Library Bike Path Project, because of course we can accomplish neither of those without engagement and collaboration from the UCSB administration. And secondly, we also want to use our leadership role over Senate to get a much more present AES on campus. So there should be projects that are being developed, and there's several ideas of this incentive, and they can maybe speak about it later, to have services on campus students can use, and AS branding, as our financial policies and procedures already say, we just need to enforce it. There should be AS branding on there, so that when students think of AS, it's no longer either just a blank or only negatives and scandals, but they can think, oh, I used that service last week, which just really helped me out. That's, I think, the kind of relationship we want to develop. And Evan had an additional idea.
Hi, everyone. My name is Evan Sussman. I'm the first president pro temp of the Senate. As Henry so eloquently said, we really want to bolster AS presence across campus. So not only are we looking to do posters around the school throughout bulletins, but we also want to engage with actual state lawmakers to ensure that our voices are not only being heard by our campus administration, but by the state. Because young people like ourselves, we're the leaders of tomorrow. And for us to make a real difference in the state, for us to get housing, for lawmakers to be on our sides, we need to engage with them. So, work with our EVPSA, our student senators who want to bridge those connections to actual California politicians. That's our other idea going into this state. So thank you, guys.
Thank you both.
Hi, everyone. Again, Leah, the EVPSA, or External Vice President for Statewide Affairs. I think a lot of my goals align really similarly to what both Henry and Evan were just speaking on. So many students are just not aware of what resources are available to them in the EVPSA office. So I think expanding and advertising a lot more of our presence on campus would be a great idea. Working with the Senate to see what we can do for lobbying and how we can really advocate and uplift our students to be doing those things themselves as well. But part of my role is regularly meeting with administration and the UC Office of the President. So I looking into the idea as well as maybe hosting a town hall every quarter before I go and meet with the office. Going in or setting up some sort of Google form that you can access through our website or our Instagram to go and just because there are student groups that I'm engaging with to go and see what their needs are that need to be met, doesn't mean I'm necessarily reflecting all of the student needs. So just really giving people different spaces where they can come and advocate for themselves or ask me in the office to go and advocate on ways that they can.
Hello everyone, my name is Iman Wahidullah. I'm one of the current 76 AS off-campus senators, and I'm also one of the members of the ASVCSB Senate Liaison Committee. And I'll just tie on just briefly some similar sentiments that I believe some people already currently have explained a bit and stuff, but on behalf of the Liaison Committee, as alongside Senator Dan, we are also looking forward to not only, although our goal in the Liaison Committee is to handle and facilitate a lot of the internal operations of associated students, what we're looking forward to this year as well is to help currently do more intercollaboration and more integration between existing resources that we have to help uplift current existing VCUs and resources and a lot of accommodations that students don't typically, as Leah already mentioned, don't even know are provided to them, that there are so many VCUs and organizations and resources that are funded by student fees that most students aren't even aware about, that their allocation of funding is going to them. And because of that, we're trying to do more integration with our existing resources, such as any various committees in the Senate, such as the Outreach Committee to help uplift on social media and mass emails, and helping to use more integration to help promote these existing VCUs and these resources back to the student body so they know they can go to them and help support them better and just reimburse into these VCUs internally as well as externally as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Blaine. Does anyone else want to share maybe any VCUs, any goals for the year? Anyone in the back? That's okay. I'll share one of my goals, in terms of student outreach. Something that I have been planning to accomplish better student outreach is the AS Kickoff Fair, which will be on October 3rd, Friday of week 1, over by Stork Tower. And I'm super, super excited at how many VCUs and AS groups sign up. We've got basically 40, which is super awesome. And I think that'll be a really awesome space for students to see, wow, okay, AS is not just some like student government that like just sits and argues, but it's actually the food bank and the bike shop and so many different services that they can utilize. So I'm really excited for that. Okay, any questions about the strategic vision plan or anything that I just talked about? Alrighty, so I actually finished that kind of early, which is great. So now we're gonna take a break and a half-hour break until 3:40. And this will also be our transition to Corwin Pavilion. So we'll be in a bigger space, which is awesome. So pack up your stuff and start moving over to Corwin, where there will be some snacks and refreshments waiting for you over there, which is awesome. And then at 3:40, we'll be doing breakout sessions. So please look at your program to decide which of the 3 sessions you're going to attend, which one is best for you and your role. The program or the session titles, locations in the USAN/Corwin, and session descriptions are all in your program. So I will see you all in half an hour.
And ask them to do what they're doing. If you could put the markers and stuff away so that we can.
And please put your markers in the back of the boxes so that we can collect them. That was super helpful. Thank you.
And come deposit them.
Yes.